Welcome to This Week in Vexly. Starting off, we will review our trade ideas from last week. First idea was to long MU based on our market maker model and Pluto both signaling a long. We also mentioned how we liked 65 to be the floor based on current positioning. From Monday's open to high of week, MU was up 6.37%. For our second idea, we liked DIS as a short last week. Our market maker model was short, but Pluto was neutral. We also mentioned that we liked 90 to act as the ceiling for the week, and showed our peak negative gamma was set at 85, which is where price went. From Monday's open to low of week, DIS was down 3.8%. Now let's move on to our Fed and liquidity recap from last week. Looking at CB swaps, we saw another week of minimal tightening along with some very small buying operations on overnight repos by the Federal Reserve. Lastly, we saw a continuation on the Fed's balance sheet drawdown. With that being said, we see no new characteristic change in the never-ending liquidity crunch this market has been in. Now let's turn to our market view tool and note returns we saw this week. These past weekly returns have entered an area where we typically see reversals and is something to note. Also want to note how IWM fared worse than SPY and QQQ. Next, let's review our heat maps from Friday's close. Remember to pause the video and review Friday's price action for points of interest that could be important for Monday. Here are the heat maps for ES, NQ, and RTY. Now let's get into our trade ideas for the week ahead. For our first idea for the week ahead, we like BAC as a long this week. Our market maker model has signaled a long and Pluto is currently coming off a buy signal from last week. Moving to our gamma profile, we can see peak negative and positive gamma is set at 30. This means we will want to see 30 act as a magnet for price this week. Moving down to our Vanna profile, we want to note the peak negative is set at 28 and peak positive is set at 30 along with a peak set at 32. Moving down to our P1 skew, we can see skew is negative for the week ahead, and here is the weekly seasonality for BAC. Lastly, we have our VX levels, and want to note the bid we saw come in last week right at 29 along with the phantom wick we saw pointing towards 30. For our next idea, we like Netflix as a long this week. Our market maker model has signaled long and Pluto is neutral after coming off a buy signal from last week. Moving to our gamma profiles, we can see peak negative and positive gamma is set at 400 along with some positive positions at 415 and 435. Based on this, we want to see 400 act as support for the week for a chance of a move up to 415 and maybe more. Moving on to our Vanna profile, we want to note the peak negative is set at 375 and positive is set at 435. Next, we have our P1 skew, which is slightly negative for the week ahead, and here is the weekly seasonality for Netflix. Lastly, we have our VX levels. We want to make note of the bid we saw at 400 last week along with the phantom wicks we have pointing higher towards 410. That's it for this week. To recap, we are still seeing problems with liquidity in this market with no end in sight. But based on the recent down move the market has made along with positioning, a possible bounce has a higher likelihood of happening from here. To recap our trade ideas, we like BAC as a long and want to see 29 hold for price to climb to 30 to 32. For our second idea, we like Netflix as a long if price can stay above 400 and we would then be looking for a move towards 415 and maybe even higher. That's it for the week. Thanks for watching and please like and subscribe for more.